Hello, good afternoon. It is your host, Emmanuel Isaiah Smith, and today's date is Monday, October 20th, 2025. The time is 4:35 p.m., and I am in Cutler Bay, Florida. The topic of today's lecture is Synchronized Vehicular Obstruction of Movement. And before I get into synchronized vehicular obstruction of movement, I want to talk about another element of gang stalking briefly. And that element of gang stalking is the mockery element. So as I've said in previous lectures, gang stalking operates off of a pointing and signaling mechanism. That's the only way that stalkers know who to pester, who to descend upon, and who to obstruct. Okay, liaisons who are wards of the state in various capacities, and when I mention the state in these lectures, I mean the United States of America, the federal establishment, the sovereign territorial entity called the USA. Okay, in legal discourses, it's referred to as the state. So you have wards of the state that are strategically planted around the United States, and they get various alerts as to the whereabouts of targeted individuals. These liaisons may or may not descend upon a target theirself. Oftentimes they use a third party, typically undercover operatives or what's referred to as gang stalkers. Now these operatives and stalkers, they receive signals from the liaison in the form of physical signals, verbal commands, vehicular maneuvers, and other cues which direct the operatives or the stalkers to the target's exact location, and they are pointed to the direct location. It's not the general location. Undercover operatives and stalkers are pointed directly at the targeted person, so they know exactly who it is they are to descend upon. When they descend upon the targeted individual, they descend upon him with various forms of attack mechanisms and or harassment protocols. Now, I've mentioned in previous lectures how a operative or a gang stalker descends upon a targeted individual. These signals they're covert in nature, but they're definitive. These liaisons, these undercover operatives, these stalkers, they find various ways of descending upon a targeted individual. They're creative with their signaling. They find varied ways of pointing at somebody without pointing their finger at the person, which is an explicit directive maneuver. So they're not pointing at you with their hands, and they're not saying anything to the effect of, hey, there he is sitting down, he has on a orange shirt or red shorts or white shoes or anything to that effect. It's nothing that overt. It's nothing that explicit. It's subtle, because the targeted individual is not supposed to know that they're being pointed at. Now, my stalkers got a little sloppy, and they remain sloppy, and it's not difficult to see when they're pointing at me, even if it's from a distance. Sometimes they use vulgar language, or sometimes they use racially inflammatory language, or those are the verbal commands and so forth. Sometimes they find creative ways to point at you. For example, let's say a liaison wants to point at a target, or an undercover operative wants to point at a target, or a stalker wants to point another stalker into the direction of the target specifically. They might do something like walk up close to him, or walk in his general vicinity and maybe drop some change in front of you and bend over and pick up the change and keep walking. Okay, X marks the spot. Okay, the person that he drops the change in front of, that's the one you descend upon. That's the one you go to, etc. In some circles, they call it a mark of Herod, where you use a mark or a sign of some kind to point a person out, etc., etc. So there are a number of signaling mechanisms that go into it. Sometimes a liaison or a undercover operative or a stalker will walk directly up to a target and mark him. Like, for example, sometimes they'll walk up to you and say something to the effect of, "Do you have the time?" or something real arbitrary like that. And they have a watch on, they have a phone in their hand, and there might be a big giant clock somewhere. But instead of finding out the time on their own, they'll walk up to you personally and ask for the time. It's not because they need the time. It's because they're marking you. They're pointing at you. X marks the spot. The person that I speak to, the person that I go to, the person that I encounter, that's the target. You see? So it could be something just that simple. Or maybe someone walks up to you and arbitrarily asks you for a cigarette. I mean, who arbitrarily walks up to somebody and asks for a cigarette? It's not because they need a cigarette. They might have a cigarette on their person. They're engaging you to point at you. They're marking you. You see? Other ways of pointing at a person could be something to the effect of maybe there are two people somewhere throwing a football or a baseball or a soccer ball, and they are at some point instructed to point you out from someone somewhere. It could be an earpiece, because as I said in previous lectures, some of these stalkers use earpieces now as opposed to the signaling mechanism. And with these electronic earpieces, they're getting a feed from a third party as to who the target is and how to mark or point at him. So maybe you have some people somewhere throwing a football, and you happen to be in the general vicinity, and one of them misthrows the other person or overthrows the other person, and the football lands right near you. That's not because that person has bad aim or because they don't know how to throw the football. The point was to throw the football in the general vicinity of the target. You see, when the football lands at your feet, that is marking you. X marks the spot. That's you being pointed at. You see? So now, any stalker in the area knows who the target is. They know who the, quote, suspicious person is. They know who they're being alerted to. Now, sometimes stalkers get vulgar with their signals. For example, I've had it to where a stalker would point at me by walking behind a bus stop that I was sitting at and start urinating in a bush behind me. Okay, that's not because they couldn't make it to a toilet. They're marking me. That's how they're pointing at me. Okay, X marks the spot. Or maybe a target or a liaison or a stalker or an operative will walk past you and spit on the ground next to you, or do something like that. That's another way of pointing at you. It's not because they needed to get saliva out of their system or what have you, or their mouth. The spit in your general vicinity is the point. It's the mark. It's how you're being targeted. Excuse me. So, gang stalkers have vulgar ways of pointing at people too. It's all about being observant and watching how people interact with you. If you are interacted with in a way that is unusual or otherwise deleterious, chances are you're being pointed at by a stalker, so other stalkers in the area know who the target is. So, having explained that, having gone through that, I'd like to move into synchronized vehicular obstruction of movement. Synchronized vehicular obstruction of movement is one of the more aggressive, one of the more hostile, and one of the more dangerous aspects of clandestine gang stalking. When a car interacts with you at close range, particularly cutting you off or coming too close to you or creeping up behind you or something to that effect, the goal of such a maneuver is multifaceted. It's supposed to catch you off guard. It's supposed to make you lose your balance. It's supposed to surprise you. It's supposed to shock you. It's supposed to put you in harm's way and possibly instigate a collision. But it's also designed to point at you the same way some of the other signaling mechanisms are designed to point at you. So if you notice that you're walking through a parking lot, or you're walking down the street, or you're crossing a crosswalk, or you are anywhere where there are vehicles present, and you're walking and some car arbitrarily darts out of nowhere and cuts you off, whereas it didn't have to, okay, there's no particular vehicular urgency with respect to that. Okay, they cut you off arbitrarily, as it were, and in a way that is meant to obstruct your path and surprise you or throw you off balance or something to that effect. It's meant to do a lot of things. It's meant to intimidate you. It's meant to cause shock. It's meant to be a threat, and it's meant to point at you. You see, cars point at targeted persons as well. Okay, if you're walking down a sidewalk and the very second you get to a crosswalk or parking lot and a car just happens to dart out in front of you, sometimes it's 3 or 4, the very second you get to that point, those are timed maneuvers. Okay, those are signals. Okay, those are you, the target, being pointed at by a motorist. Now, the goal and the point of this maneuver is the same as the goal and the point, indeed the very mission of all signaling mechanisms in gang stalking. The goal is to point you out to surrounding people. Okay, this is the target, this is the suspicious person, this is the one we're watching, this is the one that doesn't belong here. You see, now the target being hit or run over by a car is a very present danger with respect to synchronized vehicular obstruction of movement. If you're run over by a vehicle and it was to be a signaling gesture, chances are that the person that runs you over is not going to stop. They're going to keep going. Now, that's not just in Florida, that's in any state in the United States. Okay, now, the drivers in the state of Florida are seen statistically as the country's worst. But it doesn't matter where the targeted person is. They could be anywhere in the country, and they would experience synchronized vehicular obstruction of movement. Now, with respect to the types of vehicles that practice this, there's no limit to it. Okay, it doesn't have to be a Kia Sophia or a Ford Focus or a Toyota Camry or a Ford Prius, okay, or a motorbike or a motor scooter or a motorcycle. It doesn't have to be a small car, okay. A targeted individual can get obstructed as the result of a signaling mechanism, okay, as the result of an intimidation mechenism, and as the result of a mechanism that's designed to possibly harm the target by any vehicle. Okay, I've had Mack trucks obstruct my movement in a synchronized fashion. I've had city buses obstruct my movement in a synchronized fashion. I've had school buses obstruct my movement in a synchronized fashion. I've had cement trucks obstruct my movement in a synchronized fashion. I've had 18-wheelers synchronize my movement in a synchronized fashion. And it's not with me inside of a car, it's with me outside of a car, walking down a sidewalk, walking down a parking lot, crossing a crosswalk where I have the right of way, really anywhere where there is vehicular traffic going both ways, and there are opportunities for a car to turn right or left. A targeted individual has the capacity to be obstructed in a synchronous fashion by motorists, regardless of the kind of vehicle they're in and regardless of the size and weight of the vehicle. I mean, it doesn't have to be a 2,000-pound car or a 3,000-pound car or a 5,000-pound car. It could be a 10,000-pound commercial vehicle. It could be a 20,000-pound commercial vehicle. The life of the target, the safety of the target, the well-being of the target is not a consideration. It's about the goal, which is to contain the target with a vehicle as the weapon. And yes, you can use a vehicle as a weapon. Okay, there are legal codes in the United States that have special designations for a person's capacity to use a vehicle as a weapon. Okay, you have vehicular assault. Okay, when you use your vehicle as a weapon against a person. You have vehicular manslaughter, when you use your vehicle as a weapon against a person to cause the ultimate catastrophe in a person's life. You have the special designations with respect to the points that go on your license, and the sentencing guidelines for these crimes are different than the sentencing guidelines for crimes like, for example, simple assault or aggravated assault or felony assault or regular manslaughter or simple manslaughter. Okay, using your vehicle as a weapon is seen as a unique crime and an especially violent crime, and ultimately the capacity to harm another person with a vehicle, using your vehicle as a weapon, is seen in the criminal justice system as a particularly bright indicator of a person's capacity to do violence against another person. Now, if you take, for example, someone riding a skateboard, or someone riding a bicycle, or someone riding a motorized scooter, or someone riding a moped, or a small motorized vehicle, the designation does not change. Okay? They're still on a vehicle. They're still motorists. They're still operators of a motor vehicle. And the capacity for synchronized vehicular obstruction of movement is still there. So if a targeted person is in a parking lot or walking down the sidewalk or walking through some sort of an enclave, maybe you're in front of a store or maybe you're outside of a mall or a restaurant, and somebody on a motorized skateboard or a motorized scooter or a moped or some other small motorized vehicle, as a matter of not a matter of coincidence, because as I say, too many coincidences equal derivation. If you experience too many coincidences of a certain kind, they're not coincidences anymore, they're derivations. They're derived from something else. They are caused by something else. They're purposeful, they're intentional. Okay, they're derived from a specific cause. So if you are outside of business establishments, public or private, and you are constantly being darted in front of or obstructed or cut off or even collided into by persons riding skateboards, riding motor scooters, riding bicycles or motorized bicycles or other motorized instruments that are small in nature, the capacity for harm is still there. The capacity for a collision is still there. Your movement is still obstructed. And the shock and awe mechanism, the frustration mechanism, okay, the obstruction mechanism, they are all still very present. Okay, it doesn't matter the size of the vehicle. If a vehicle of any kind, whether it's motorized or not, has an operator that, as a matter of having taken a signal of some kind, darts in front of you, or cuts you off, or even collides into you, whether or not you're harmed, that's synchronized vehicular obstruction of movement. You see, the goal is not simply just to cut you off, but to mark you, to target you, to point at you. And when that happens to a targeted person, everyone in the area who is aware of the signaling mechanism is able to see, okay, that person that just got cut off, or that person that just got collided into, that's the target, that's the suspicious person, that's the one we need to watch. So my suggestion is to the entire 50 states. Okay, the individual criminal justice system that is present in all 50 states. You need to find a definitive edit or alteration in the United States Legal Code that further criminalizes using vehicles as weapons against people. And not even just the use of motor vehicles, but the use of non-motorized vehicles as well. I'm of the mindset that the vehicular assault mechanism is one that has the capacity to carry with it paramilitary or militia-like uses. Okay, if you are experiencing for some targets, you run into militias or you run into paramilitary groups that use a signaling mechanism to target certain persons. They will oftentimes use vehicles as sort of a, you could call it a semi-law enforcement weapon or a semi-military weapon. Okay, some of these vehicles, especially the SUVs, some of them, and some of the pickup trucks, I mean, they maneuver about with the same power and destructive capability as an army tank. And it can feel that way, as if you have a standing army or some sort of a troop that is after you or confronting you or attacking you, depending on the severity of the action against you, or the synchronized nature of the action against you. It can kind of resemble what a person might experience if, for example, you were on the battlefield, or if you were a member of a SWAT team and you were called on a mission to subdue a hostage taker or something like that. What would be dispatched? All right, the troop would not pull up on scooters and skateboards. Okay, they wouldn't pull up in Nissan Altimas. Okay, they wouldn't arrive at the scene on mopeds, okay, or motorized bicycles. All right, they're coming with armored trucks. Okay, they're coming with armored cars. They're coming with helicopters and army tanks. Some SWAT teams have access to army equipment to carry out missions, and that's to not only let the perpetrator or the suspect know that this is the end of the line for them. It's also for the protection of the members of the SWAT team as well. They don't know exactly what could transpire or what might transpire. So they have to take every precaution to, what now? You just farted in my face. Yeah, I'm gonna spray. You just farted right in my face. I'm gonna spray. Yeah, you just walked past and you broke wind right in my face. Okay, so I'm using this to knock the smell out. Yeah, I'm not gonna do it all trip, but I'm definitely gonna get that smell out of here. This is street theater, ladies and gentlemen. This bus driver, A. Delgado, I guess number 888, operator ID 8223. That's his operator ID. This guy stopped the bus. This guy stopped the bus to tell a passenger to turn their music down. And then he walked right past me and he ripped gas in front of everybody that was on the bus. Okay? That is extremely unprofessional, and it's a biohazard because it spreads bacteria. So now this guy's turning around telling me not to spray nothing in the air to get the smell out. Okay? I think that is an extremely disgusting maneuver. Okay? I haven't reported a bus driver to the Miami-Dade County Transit System in a long time, but I am very much on the verge. I am very much on the verge of reporting this guy if he doesn't chill. I mean, for Christ's sake, who does that on a public bus? That's what I'm trying to figure out. So this guy, A. Delgado, just got out. He just hopped up and grabbed his cell phone, and now he's stepping off the bus. And I have no clue what he's doing or what he's talking about, but he's obviously an agitator and a disruptor. So I'm not exactly sure what this guy is up to, but yeah, I'm definitely going to report this guy. This guy is obviously an agitator, and I mean, who does that? I mean, if this person sitting next to me needed to, if this person sitting next to me needed to needed to turn their phone down or turn their phone off, or if they were listening to loud music or something like that, then yeah, it's easy to just turn around and tell this person, hey, you need to turn your phone down or turn your phone off. But instead, what he did was he stopped the bus, got off the bus, walked all the way to the back of the bus, told the person, hey, turn your phone down, and then he walked back towards his seat and ripped this horrible gas in front of everybody's face that was sitting on the bus. Okay, I pulled out a can of Lysol to spray the air to get that smell of camel crap out of the air, and he turns around and tells me you can't spray that in here. And I told him this is why I sprayed it, and now he's off the bus on his cell phone doing something else. Who knows what he's doing? But yeah, A Delgado, and his operator ID is 8223. I have no clue what this guy is about to do. Just a total instigator. Just a total instigator. Just a total instigator. We're gonna have to see what happens. I don't know if this is a cultural thing or what, but yeah, this guy just walked past and just it was horrible. It was horrible. And I'm just trying to figure out what kind of public employee does that. Looks like he's trying to make a spectacle. And that's what stalkers do. They instigate problems. They instigate spectacles like this so that they can try and draw attention to themselves. But this guy's obviously an agitator, obviously. He's probably doing something. He's probably called his supervisor and embellished a story about what just happened so that he can draw attention to himself. Maybe get a pat on the back from his supervisor later on. Good work. Good work instigating today. I mean, what kind of public employee? You draw a check from the taxpayer of Miami-Dade County, and you do something that disgusting on a bus. Yeah, he just stopped the bus. Now everybody that has somewhere to go has to wait on this jerk to do whatever it is he has to do. And his whole complaint is, don't spray this Lysol on my bus. Rather make everybody on the bus smell something that just came out of my anus. And that's his whole problem, is I sprayed something on the bus. And now this guy got off the bus. He's just holding everybody up. He's just creating a spectacle. That's all he's doing. He's bringing attention to himself. And that's what stalkers do. That's what agitators do. They will pick a problem with somebody just so they can turn around and create a spectacle around their self. You see, that's all he's doing. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. I'll report this to Miami-Dade Transit tomorrow morning, and I'll just let them know this guy He did something disgusting. I pulled out some spray to nullify the smell. Then he stopped the bus and he created a spectacle. That's all that this was. This guy should be driving this bus right now down the street so everyone can get to where they're going. But instead, he wants to bring attention to himself. So he stopped the bus. He's on his phone. And who knows what he's doing? There's really no telling what he's doing. And this was all about me pulling out some spray and spraying the air from where this guy just ripped gas in the face of about 10 people. That's fine. I'll report this to Miami-Dade Transit tomorrow. There's cameras rolling. They saw me spray something in the air, and that's his whole problem. So now everybody on the bus has to sit here and wait on this jerk to do whatever it is he needs to do, when really all he's doing is creating a spectacle. I see bus drivers carry Lysol onto buses and spray it all the time. But me, a passenger, spraying some Lysol in the air to kill the smell of something that he did, he stopped the entire bus, told me not to spray something, and when I told him that I had the right to spray it, he gets on the phone and he stops the bus and holds up everybody. So now everybody on this bus has to wait. Yeah, there's people trying to get to work. There's people trying to go home. There's people trying to get where they need to get. And this guy stopped the bus, and he's making the entire bus wait on whatever the problem is for me spraying something in the air to kill the smell of what this jerk just did. Now everybody has to wait. Nobody gets to go where they're going because this guy wants to make a spectacle. See, the passengers are trying to figure out what he's doing because they all have places to go. And this guy stopped the bus because I sprayed something to kill the smell of this disgusting gesture he just made. And now everybody on the bus is inconvenienced because of him, because he wants to make a spectacle. He wants his day to be more adventurous. So let's create a spectacle and make everybody stop what they're doing and hold the bus up. And we've been stationary for probably 12 minutes now. And there are passengers asking him what's the problem, because all I did was spray something in the air to kill the smell of something he did. And now he stopped the bus, and now everybody has to wait and be inconvenienced because of him. He's just creating a spectacle. He wants to be seen, I guess. And that works for a lot of stalkers too. They'll instigate some sort of a dust up, and then they'll go get somebody to report to or something to that effect. The person that shows any type of disgust at what they're doing. So this guy initiated the dust up with his behavior, and now he stopped the bus. We've been stationary, and he's again creating a spectacle. All right, so that wailing siren you just heard is Miami-Dade police. He's probably embellished a story and is probably going to try and instigate some sort of a further spectacle regarding this matter of me simply spraying something in the air. But I want you guys to listen to this. I want you guys to listen to this situation, because this guy, he's not doing anything but creating a spectacle. And me spraying a can of Lysol in the air should not elicit this kind of response. There's about 5 officers outside the bus right now, and I would not doubt for 1 second that he has told them some sort of a lie or embellishment about what's happened. A passenger spraying Lysol in the air is not supposed to elicit this kind of response. He had to have lied about something. How's it going? I sprayed some Lysol in the air to kill the smell, and this guy stops the bus and calls the police on me. I got the entire interaction recorded. I mean, there's literally a priority response team because I sprayed Lysol in the air.
No, we just happen to be in the area.
Right.
What I'm saying is now, he wants you up.
Okay, now, with respect to my rights as a Miami-Dade County citizen, I've already paid bus fare. All I did was spray some Lysol in the air, and this guy stops the bus because I sprayed some Lysol and calls you guys. I'm trying to figure out tell him to give me my money back then. I've already paid fare. All I did was spray some Lysol in the air. I got the entire interaction recorded. All I did was spray some Lysol in the air, and he calls you guys.
What's the point of you spraying the Lysol?
Okay, so this guy walked up. He walked up to her and told her, turn the music down. Then, as he walked past me, he turns his back and rips gas right in my face. So I didn't say nothing to him. I just went into my bag. Okay, I pulled out some Lysol. I sprayed it in the air. And then
let me see the Lysol. This is not Lysol.
Well, it's air freshener. It's just like Lysol. So I just sprayed some of this in the air to kill the smell, and I put it back inside. Then he pulls the bus over, and he comes back to me and says, "Don't spray that in here." I said, "Okay, fine. I won't spray anymore. I just sprayed it to clear the air because you just ripped gas in my face." So at that point, he goes, "Okay, you know what? You need to report it to my supervisor if you have a problem." I said, "That's fine. I'll report it to your supervisor." And that was supposed to be the end of the conversation. But then he stops the bus, gets off the bus, calls the police, and I'm trying to figure out what the problem is. I just sprayed some air freshener to kill a fart that he just ripped right in my face.
So listen, right now he wants you off the bus.
So tell him to give me my money back.
He's not going to give you the money back. He can't give you the money back because he's not Miami-Dade County. This is a Miami-Dade County bus.
Right.
So Miami-Dade County overall is the one that would refund you the money. You would have to call Miami-Dade County.
Well, let me do a report then so I can give them a report so they can give me my money back.
Okay. If you want to do the report, you can.
Okay.
Guide you off the bus.
That's perfectly fine. Hey, I'm getting my money back and I'm reporting you, dude.
All right, hold on. Listen, we're gonna walk you across the streets and you can be on the sidewalk.
Okay.
Give us a chance so we can cross you over because there's traffic.
All right. So I could do a report now today. So I can. Okay.
100%.
Appreciate it. All right. That was my whole concern. I already paid fair.
Always. Let me drive him out.
Let's see if I can get you charged with assault.
Go to another bus stop. Obviously, you're having
Right.
a conflict with this driver.
Right.
So if you want to just go to another bus stop and then get picked up by somebody else.
All right. That's fine. I just want to do a report so I can get my money back. Yeah.
You're gonna get a report. Right? He's gonna get a report. Everybody's gonna have the same information. Yep.
Backwards, touch it. Yeah. Take. What's your current address?
No. It's gonna be 3220 North 24th Avenue, Hollywood, 33020.
You got a phone number?
Yeah, 561. Are you doing my ID?
Yeah.
Okay, 561-666-7971.
There's a few minutes when you get Chris, right?
All right, thank you. That was my only problem. I wasn't trying to disturb my fellow passengers. It was just, hey, you know, I bought a $6 bus pass, and it's the principle of the matter. I'm not that hard up to where $6 is a huge deal to me. It's just the principle of the matter. I paid $6 for an all-day bus pass, and I'm using it, and I'm being denied service. So that's all I'm saying. It's the principle of the matter.
No, it makes total sense what it is that you're saying. So, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Unfortunately, right, the driver of the bus, when they're up, you report it to somebody, you get taken out to the bus, they can't actually refuse the service. But within your rights to be able to make a complaint,
Right.
go about it that way, which is why it is a bit of a report for you, and then go about it.
I hear you. Appreciate it, sir. Thank you. How's everything else going today? Pretty good.
It's a blessing, boss. We're alive. We're here. You know what I'm saying?
I hear
We're
you.
good. We're good.
Every day above ground is a good day.
So it is. So it is. You said your address is in Hollywood?
Yeah, I live in Hollywood. I was out in Homestead visiting that cybrarium they got out there.
Oh, okay.
It's like a cyber library. It's like a cyber library.
Yeah.
I thought it would be pretty cool to get out there and check it out, you know. So I went to Homestead, came back. I take the 37 back to Kendall. That's where my significant other lives. And I was just headed back to the Kendall area to get her. Next thing I know, all this happens, but it's no big deal. I know it's protocol.
I'm going to get the card, the case number for you.
All right.
309. 307-998. 307-998.
Boss, here you go. This is the case number on the top. It has all the information, has the officer's names, right? It's going to take about 2 weeks in order for the report to get generated. So whenever, if and when it is that you want the report, you can either call the number or there's an email on here as well. And you can just request it like that.
All right. Thank you for your service. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. More organized stalking in action. Like I say, ladies and gentlemen, these types of events are prearranged. Before this guy showed up, he'd probably gotten some sort of a signal or some sort of a communication from somewhere. And it was bus number 21174. All right, so he probably got some sort of a signal or communication from somewhere before this bus ride even happened that he was supposed to create some sort of a ruckus or a spectacle. Because I'm in the middle of one of these lectures, and I've explained in various other lectures that these stalkers, they like to interject themselves into my lecture. I mean, did you hear how he was sort of shooting off at his mouth in Spanish before this whole thing happened? I mean, that was the point. Okay, he wanted to interject into this lecture. Okay, he wanted to be a part of it. That's what these stalkers want. They want to disrupt my lectures. They want to disrupt my project. They want to disrupt what I have going on. And they use garbage like that, which is really assault what he did. I mean, if you do that to another person, use your bodily functions as a weapon against them, that's assault. All right, and that's exactly what I'm going to press charges against him for later on. Simply because he inconvenienced me, and he put me through all that because I sprayed some Lysol in the air. Well, actually it was Ozium. Okay. It was, it's like a car air freshener. I sprayed some of it in the air to get rid of the smell that creep left. Okay? And he turned it into a situation where he reported it in such a way so as to incur the presence of a priority response team. A Miami-Dade County Police priority response team showed up for that. Okay? It's gang stalking in action, ladies and gentlemen. I believe I've said all I wanted to say up to this point about synchronized vehicular obstruction of movement. I may do a part 2 of synchronized vehicular obstruction of movement, just because this one was cut short by the actions of that clown. Now he'll have something to go back to the office and talk about tomorrow. All right. And now he can be the center of attention for 15 minutes tomorrow at the office. Now he has a reason to go to his supervisor and say, hey, supervisor, guess what happened to me today? Right? That's all that was. This guy wanted to create a spectacle around himself and a spectacle around his name. So he chose a passenger to basically assault. That is assault. That's assault. It's battery to do that to somebody. It would be the equivalent of sneezing in somebody's face or coughing in somebody's face. And the officer that took the report, the one that you heard me speaking with, he was signaled as well. He was signaled as well. Because did you notice in the interaction between me and him when he said, well, what caused you to spray the Lysol? That did not have any bearing whatsoever on what was transpiring. Okay? Either I can continue riding the bus or not. You see, the reason he asked me what caused it is because he was instructed to ask me what caused it. He probably had on an earpiece of some kind. The officer that asked me that, he probably had on an earpiece. And some third party was probably telling him what questions to ask me. Okay? Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it is that deep. Okay? There are countless U.S. citizens around the country that employ the use of earpieces in their personal lives and on the job to stage encounters. So now I have a case card, okay, and it's not a case. I didn't catch a case. I'm not criminally liable for anything. The driver just said he didn't want me on the bus because I had the audacity to spray something in the air that killed that donkey fart that he let out. Thank you for tuning in, ladies and gentlemen.